I'm gonna need to hit this with a mint. That was garlicky.
Do we have any Listerine?
Hi everybody, welcome to Off Our Needles.
I'm Tracie.
I'm Jodi.
And we're the Grocery Girls.
We are. Today is all about the Yarnover.
It is. This is pretty exciting. An entire episode for one little stitch. That must mean it's pretty important.
It is, and I had no idea there was more than one way to do it.
I know. Depending on where in your pattern it falls, you're gonna do your yarn over slightly differently, but you're gonna get the same look, which I think is kind of magical.
Well, I feel like they say yarnovers and patterns, and I'm not sure if they ever explain, bring the yarn from the front to the back. Or I just sort of always made it work.
I know. I think sometimes you have to sort of use some extra research to find out sometimes exactly what they mean, but we're going to show you that today.
Yeah.
So that's going to put some things to rest, I think.
So let's chat yarnovers. Speaking of yarnovers.
Yes.
Do you remember in our demo, when we were talking about the novelty, I did a demo, and then somebody said, oh, you're doing the yarnovers backwards.
Well, and that's the thing. I think there's definitely more than one way to do a yarn over. You end up getting the same look, but that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
The first lace pattern I ever did was very simple, and it really was just diagonal rows of yarn overs, and that was a nice way to sort of dip your toe into it. And the same with our novelty knit along. The lace is quite simple, and the yarn overs really shine in that pattern.
Well, and I even remember doing one where you went crazy and did a double yarn over.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can go crazy. There's double
just
yarn overs.
nutty.
There's triple yarn overs, and it really just creates different size holes in your knitting.
Yeah.
I personally love doing like a triple yarn over, and then when the next row, when you come back, you've created this giant hole in your knitting. It's pretty fun. And you're doing it on purpose. It's not one of those like, how did this hole get in my knitting? You did it on purpose.
So we are going to talk today and show you guys a few different ways to show you how to yarn over.
Okay. So there are 4 basic ways to make a yarn over in your knitting, and they're based on the stitches before and after that surround your yarn over.
Who knew?
Who knew? So they are slightly different as you're knitting. There's the knit one, yarn over knit one.
Yeah.
In between 2 knit stitches.
Right, and then the same way with a purl. There's a purl one, yarn over, purl one.
Right, and then if you're going from a knit stitch to a yarn over and a purl, that's slightly different.
Yeah. And then obviously we can go now from the purl one, yarn over, knit one.
Yeah, and we're gonna show you how to do all of those, but they do, there are slightly different depending on the amount of yarn you're working with and how far around the needle you go. They can be a little bit larger, a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So they can create different effects in your lace knitting.
And I think, we subconsciously do it already as we're knitting because we know, not really knowing, oh, this is going to be a different yarn over. We just know that the yarn has to come to the front or the back without even really knowing.
Yeah, and I feel like if you haven't knit much lace or you've always sort of fudging it and not sure if you're doing it correctly, the demo is going to be really helpful.
Yeah, Tracie's going to show us up close what it looks like.
I would love to.
Yeah.
The first yarn over we're going to talk about is going to be between 2 knit stitches. I've got a garter stitch lace sample going here, so let's do some knitting. We're going to knit our first stitch, and the pattern says the next stitch is going to be a yarn over. Now we're going to need to bring our yarn to the front in between both of our knit stitches, and then go ahead and knit your second stitch. See how that created the extra in between there? That is your yarn over. And it was literally just bringing your yarn to the front between your needles. This time we're gonna do our yarn over in between 2 purl stitches. I have 2 knits first, so let's go through those. And now, can you see here, I've got 2 purl stitches on my needle. Let's purl the first one. So then we're bringing our yarn to the front, insert as if to purl, purl the stitch. Now our next stitch is a yarn over, and then we're gonna purl again. So what we need to do, our yarn always has to be at the front to purl, but if I just purl now, there's no yarn over in between. The yarn over is when we bring it up and over our needle, back around into the front so that we are in position to purl. So if we separate these stitches on our needle, we see a purl and the loop of the yarn over and the purl. This time we're going to create our yarn over in between a knit first and a purl second. Our pattern would be knit 1, yarn over, purl 1. Let's just knit our first stitch. Now we need our yarn at the front to purl, but first we need to create that yarn over. So let's bring our yarn to the front, up and over to create the yarn over. And look, our yarn's in the front again, which is perfect for our next stitch, which is a purl. So you see on our needle, we've got a knit, and then that yarn over, and then the purl stitch. The next yarn over we're gonna do is gonna be between a purl stitch first and a knit stitch second. So we're gonna purl one, yarn over, knit one. Let's get that purl on our needles. Now our yarn is at the front of our work here, but to knit, we sort of need our yarn at the back, but to the yarn over is actually, you're in the perfect yarn over position right now. Because when we go into our knit stitch, our yarn's at the front and it's gonna come up and over the needle, creating the yarn over without too much yarn manipulation. It's just there. Do you see that? You've got a purl and the yarn over and then the knit. And the way we know that our yarn over is correct is we've got that right leading leg. It doesn't look like it's slanted the other way.
Watching you do those yarn overs, I know that I've been doing it wrong. I'm twisting my stitch.
And I mean, there's ways to fix that too on the next row back. You can knit into the back leg and flip it around. But if you know the right way to do it on the right side, then it saves you that step, right?
And not knowing it was twisted, as I'm coming back, I have to knit into the back because the front's too hard to get into.
Exactly, because it's mounted backwards.
This, to me, was hugely eye-opening.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. And you know, lots of times in your pattern, you can even, they'll be called something different. I knit a pattern by a British designer, and she used the term YF, which is yarn forward. And it's really, that's exactly what you do. You pull your yarn to the front of your work. So it's a very descriptive term, I think.
Yeah, I've also heard of yarn on needle.
Exactly.
I feel like those terms are much more descriptive.
They're a little descriptive, they are. And I mean, but in most American patterns, you're just gonna see the YO, which is yarn over, and then they're sort of, they want you to know how to manipulate your yarn
just figure it out
between your stitches. So hopefully that helped you with that. It's all about the position of your yarn depending on whatever stitch is coming next.
Okay, so technically the different yarn overs are going to make a different size hole.
They do, because if you have to bring your yarn up and over all the way around, that's different than just bringing it to the front of your work.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more yarn involved.
Yeah.
So technically the hole is slightly bigger.
So don't fret.
Yeah.
A nice even blocking is going to fix that.
Oh my gosh, blocking is magic. I'm not even kidding you. And it's a big deal in lace. So make sure you block your lace.
And it's funny when you hear lace. When I was a beginning knitter, I thought, I'm just not, when I think of lace, I think of doily.
Right.
Right?
Oh no,
lace can be just
fun.
a simple line of yarn overs, which I love, right?
Yes. And there can be simple lace that it doesn't fry your mind.
Yeah.
And you know, and then there gets to be really crazy complicated stuff. So it's something for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a few samples to show you.
We do?
Yeah, with some yarn overs. Let's show you. Okay, so we have a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Simple yarn overs can make the most amazing product.
I was just gonna say that. It is such a simple stitch. It is not complicated, but when you've got them in rows like this on your knitting, it's an amazing element and design element of your work. I love a yarn over.
Yeah, I love how she's done these little stockinette triangles and a little simple yarn over in the middle, you guys. That is so cute.
I've accidentally done yarn overs. I've accidentally made holes, and now I know it's just a yarn over.
Yeah.
So this one here is really fun because I see different sizes of yarn overs, and I wonder if this section here is actually a double yarn over, which is really, really fun. And it's literally just wrapping your yarn twice when you're doing it, the yarn over. So that makes a cool look too, as well as these little, the differences between the sizes with the little ones.
So you can get little teeny little peekaboo holes or, you know, much bigger. I just think yarn overs changes knitting and just makes it better.
It does. It makes a really fun, easy way to get into lace.
This is on another level.
This is a little bit, I would think, more lacy. So you've got yarn overs combined with right leaning and left leaning stitches, and you've created a really gorgeous repetitive pattern throughout your knitting.
But look at this, Trace.
I know, I see cables, I see rows of yarn overs, and it really is, lace is really fabulous and so limitless. I feel like there's a million lace patterns.
Before I was a lace knitter, I was thinking something like this would be a very complicated pattern.
Right.
It isn't complicated. It may not be for beginner, but let me tell you, if you just follow a pattern, this is very
I think it's a simple pattern that you just repeat many times. Yeah. So great practice,
Yeah.
right, for your Yarnovers. I personally love this. This is something that I could definitely see myself knitting.
I love it too.
And I always want to advance my skills too, right? I'd like to get up to be a better lace knitter.
Yeah. So Craftsy has some great classes on lace knitting. So check out Lace Knitting, Basics and Beyond, and other classes with Craftsy Unlimited, you guys. It's membership.
You can check out so much on Craftsy Limited. So check out the link in the description box below for all the information regarding that stuff.
We had a blast talking Yarnovers. I learned something today.
Absolutely. And I love seeing the examples of how to put it into practical use in your knitting.
Yeah.
So we've had a fabulous day with our Yarnovers, and we thank you so much for joining us on Off Our Needles today, you guys.
Hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.
See you next time.
Bye.